Citizen Kane, but even critics have claimed that it was shit in its day. Some films are shit and shit they will stay, but some get better over time because of Nicolas Cage. So which film stays shit forever? And which one's got a little bit better? Second chance movies. No poor bloods were harmed in the making of this podcast.
Welcome to Second Chance Movies, the podcast where we rewatch movies and decide if they deserve a second chance.
I'm Joe Harper, your host who loves rewatching movies and does not understand the internet.
And I'm Jessica Quaz, your host who's a one and done kind of movie viewer who has not checked her Facebook in a year and a half and feels really good about it.
Good for you. I haven't turned on Facebook in about 5 years.
Facebook really sucks, and when it's out of your life, it feels like a weight is lifted, y'all. Like, come over to our side. And today, we are doing something crazy in which we're not giving a second chance to one movie, but two, and that is Matrix Reloaded. And Matrix...
You got it.
Revolution.
That is correct.
Okay. Cool. As I told Joe before we started recording this, I kept mixing up all the R words. Like I would just throw an R word at the end of Matrix and think that was it. So
it's not Matrix Resurgence.
Nope.
I've set her clear on that.
Thought it was. And then I thought that was the second, and then I thought Matrix 3 was Matrix Resolution, because it's like the resolution. But
I like that title much better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, today on the podcast, we are going to be talking about the sequels for the movie The Matrix. So it's Matrix Reloaded and Matrix
Revolution.
It's not that either.
Oh, wait. No, it's Reloaded and Revolutions. Yeah.
Again, wow. Shame on all of us. We'll figure it out one day.
2 and 3, whatever.
Matrix 4, Matrix Resurrections.
Yes.
Is about to hit the theaters and HBO Max, and we thought no better way to get ready for it, prepare for it, than to rewatch 2 and 3.
That's right, because obviously The Matrix 1 is iconic.
Classic,
has its mark on cinematic history, for sure, no question. But 2 and 3 has a sort of torrid history. And so we wanted to revisit it after all this time with 4 coming around and just see, is it as bad as people said? Is it better than people said? What's going on here with 2 and 3?
Spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about this movie. Giving away big plot details. So if you haven't caught up on your Matrixes, I don't know what to tell you at this point. Do I even need to talk about the first Matrix?
Should we just do a refresher just of the synopsis for Matrix 1? I think we all know, but
there's a guy named Mr. Anderson, and he gets the choice to, come out of the fake world, which is like internet world, the Matrix, and come and live in the real world. And he learns everything he knew was wrong and false. And oh man, it's nuts. It's a trip. That was a bad way of explaining that movie, but you know what? It's a really complicated, fun trip of a movie. So go for it. I'm actually here to read because I'm never gonna be able to state what the sequels are about.
Absolutely not.
All right,
Matrix 2. Let's have Matrix 2 first.
So yeah, again, we're gonna be talking about both the movies, and I apologize if we, it might get confusing about which one we're talking about.
Yeah.
I always see these movies as like one movie they split into 2 parts. They released both of them in 2003, about 6 months apart. And I think that's like a first for movies. I've never seen sequels come out that quick of each other, because I think they filmed them at the same time. They just split the release. There's a very clear, to be continued moment at the end of the second one. So to me, they belong together. They need to be watched together and reviewed together.
That's right.
All right. So with Reloaded, freedom fighters Neo, Trinity, and Morpheus continue to lead the revolt against the machine army, unleashing their arsenal of extraordinary skills and weaponry against the systematic forces of repression and exploitation.
That's not it. There's a lot of issues here. First of all, it's too wordy.
I think they're preparing to fight and take down the machine army.
I guess that's what's happening, but also like they're not leading the revolution. Like we find out that there's other people within the actual real world that are like higher up leaders than they are. So they're just like really good soldiers in the war against
from the first
machines.
one it looked like only like 10 people have made it out of the Matrix,
right?
And like Morpheus is their leader, and they can hack into the Matrix. They can link their brains into the Matrix, and if they die in the Matrix, they die in the real world. And real world is disgusting and it's terrible.
Yeah,
and
it really sucks.
I would never take that red pill. Fuck
so
that.
I think if I had like a good life in there, I'd be like, that's a lot of work. I'm fine. All right. So that was the second movie. Why don't you tell us what the third movie's about?
The human city of Zion defends itself against the massive invasion of the machines as Neo fights to end the war at another front while also opposing the rogue Agent Smith. That's not a great synopsis of it either. Neo is trying to stop Agent Smith.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah.
I feel like that's almost like a secondary mission for him.
So, like, I think so. The first part is good. Like the city of Zion, the city
is trying to stop
the war, the machines,
the squid robots
killing them.
Yeah.
So sure, yeah, that is what's happening. And then Neo, like, I'm pretty sure he's trying to like just like end all the machines, and Agent Smith just happens to like be there.
And then he's like, okay, well then I guess I have to stop him too.
But we already, like, if you're going into the third movie, you already know who Agent Smith is, which we'll get into later. But, like, I don't think we necessarily need that part in the synopsis.
The movie itself is super confusing. I don't think the synopsis really helps clarify anything.
I would agree. It's really hard to give any sort of critiques on how good the synopsis could be because I am also extremely confused by what's even happening.
So, Jessica, when was the first time you watched these sequels? And what was your thoughts on these sequels?
So I watched the Matrix series when I was really young, looking back, which is interesting.
I'm 6 and I think these movies are so good.
So if I didn't see the Matrix 2 and 3 in 2003 when they came out, like I definitely saw them around like shortly after when they were like, you know, at your Family Video or Blockbuster to rent. Because I distinctly remember watching the third movie on a portable DVD player. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I owned one.
I had one, and
of course I owned one.
They were it. So children, gather around. Before we had laptops or streaming
and cell phones that you could watch movies on.
Cell phones you could just watch a movie on. In between the introduction of DVDs and streaming, there was portable DVD players, and it was just like a tiny like laptop shaped thing, and you'd put your DVD in, and then there was like a little screen. And
God, I haven't thought about one of those in years. What a waste of technology.
Seriously, waste.
You would have, because like my dumbass would like bring like a sleeve of the CD packets of like 30 DVDs every time I would bring that out. Like, oh, in case I want to watch
all of these.
Yeah, you don't have time to watch them all. I'm like, what? Do you really need to watch Memento while you're just like on the bus? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I would like abuse that DVD player and would just bring it when there was like a 5-minute car ride somewhere. Like, that's dumb. But yeah, it was the hot piece of technology.
The Matrixes sound like the worst thing to watch on there. I feel like it's so visually, like the aesthetic of the visuals, you need like a large screen. And like, you're like, what? Yeah. What is this? Hold up. My headphones slipped off a little bit. I'm watching this. I was in high school.
Okay.
And I definitely saw this in the theaters. I remember going with like a group of like buddies from like Scouts, I think. And we all like watched and we're all so pumped. It was exciting. And so we were ready. I know we all watched one of them together. I don't think I watched the second one with all of them. Like, yeah, it was. I remember going, and I remember getting really pumped because The Matrix was really wild.
Yeah.
So like I was expecting wild things from this.
So I don't know how you felt afterwards, but I definitely remember, even as a kid in 2003, like I would have been in middle school. I was kind of like, yeah, it's not that great.
I definitely think the second one blew me away visually because it's so many action things are happening. There's like a 20-minute like freeway chase fight that is just wild.
Very good look. Yeah, it looks
Probably,
great.
It's so good.
I just remember, and I personally, I closed that portable DVD player and never saw either one again until this week.
I mean, I feel like it's hard to say how many times I've watched them. It's like it's a small amount. All right, well, enough of what we think about it. We'll get to that later. What did the critics think about it when it first released? You know what?
Boy,
it's gonna be weirder now, guys, because we're doing a split episode. Kind of. I mean, it's one episode together. We're just splitting between two movies because they really go together.
They really do. They go together. But we're gonna try our best here to make sure you know which movie we're talking about. So first and foremost, we're gonna start off with 2. We're gonna start off with the reviews of 2, and then we'll move on to 3. So Matrix Reloaded.
To kick us off, we got Nell Minow, favorite reviewer here.
Oh, and so since she's at the top, I'm guessing it's a positive.
She is positive, yeah. She's a fresh tomato.
All right. What does she have to say?
Nell Minow of Common Sense Media. Electrifying, but still violent. Second in trilogy. You're right, Nell.
Yeah,
it is the second. It is the second in the trilogy.
There's no arguing that, honey.
Man, it is electrifying and violent.
And
She's
violent,
right.
yeah.
Apt. Just perfect review. I don't know why we even do this. Let's just read Nell's reviews for everyone. God, she's great.
Great. Love her. Icon, legend.
Do you really think it's this? Is that violent?
See, that's hard to say because I did watch this when I was younger. So if it is violent, like I was exposed to it at a young age. So now I just think, yeah, it was fine.
When I watch these movies now, I don't really consider them. When I hear the word violence, I think like blood. I think like deaths with blood. With this movie, the action, violence, fighting is so stylized.
Yeah.
In its own thing.
Yes.
Where it's like this kind of, I wouldn't say it's like slow paced karate, but it's like, and it's all these noises paired with the swings, which is really goofy to me now. And it's I like it as an adult after seeing so many other movies that are cameras are shaking like fucking crazy, and I can't tell who's taking a swing at who. But in this, I know who's swinging, I know who's blocking. The choreography is on point.
Yeah.
And I understand what the fight is happening. It looks great. So, but it's definitely its own, like, that's the Matrix fight. I know that it's like Mac from Sunny.
Yeah. It is. I would agree. I don't necessarily think of these movies as violent because they are incredibly stylized and they're sort of their own type of fighting. I guess the third one you could argue violence, but like, yeah, there's
not much blood in this. I think.
No,
I noticed like
so.
Someone gets shot and like blood is on the wall or it's something nuts.
Okay, are you ready for a review that's so of the time? Just like fucking let's get in our time machine and go to 2003.
Yeah.
Mike Clark from USA Today wrote, Reloaded seems less tired than X-Men 2.
That's so rude. What did X2 have anything to do with this? Every review that year, he was just like,
how does this fare against X2?
How could I bring up X2 again? Oh, man. I mean, both of those were probably the high action movies of 2003.
Yeah, they were probably it. All right, to shut down the positive reviews for Matrix 2 Reloaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Our favorite sassiest bitch came in and liked this movie.
That makes sense.
Roger Ebert with the Chicago Sun-Times wrote, an immensely skillful sci-fi adventure.
That's it? That's
That's
all
it.
you had to write?
That's all I had to say.
I feel like he is a chatty Cathy. He
You
would
know
have
what?
way more to say.
He really sometimes can be the chattiest of Cathys or the vaguest of Vannas.
Okay. Well, let's switch gears and see what people didn't like about this movie. Derek Adams of Time Out wrote, worryingly, the longer this movie goes on, the harder it is to care.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree. At first, it kind of hooked me in, and then it's just as we keep going, I'm just like, what are you doing? What is happening? I don't get it.
Well, I think the first time you're watching it, you're really curious, like, what is all this new stuff?
Right.
I'm intrigued by it all. I think after knowing it all, sitting on it and rewatching it again, you're just like, wait,
What?
what are we doing? What?
Jeff Perver from the Toronto Star wrote, while it's both naive and unfair to expect lightning to strike terrain this fertile twice, the most distressing thing about reloading of The Matrix is how much it feels like The Phantom Menace.
Excuse me? No, it does not feel like the Phantom Menace. The Phantom Menace is in its own category of excellence.
So I actually did find myself now as an adult who can critically think watching both 2 and 3, not just 2, but 2 and 3. And some moments, some scenes, I'd be like, did we see the prequels and just like take some inspiration from that? Because that's kind of how it feels.
What from it's from Star Wars prequels?
Yeah.
What from Star Wars prequels do you think was copy pasted this?
So
Ghost Twins?
It's not 2. It's not
Okay.
2. But in
more
3,
so the third one?
In the 3, I think there's some parts that are like, okay, are we Star Wars now? Like there's that in that moment where, you know, Morpheus and Jada Pinkett Smith are talking to the council, and Morpheus is like, I don't know, but I know if we believe. And it's like, the fuck? Why is there a council all of a sudden? Like,
I believe
Anakin
is the chosen
one. Yeah. I believe he's the one, and he believes.
Okay, I can see the correlation now.
And then there's
Neo's the chosen one.
And then there's a few times where like Jada Pinkett Smith, who's like, you know, the captain of a fucking spaceship or whatever, is just having some Han energy where she's like, we didn't come all this way for nothing. I know that's not prequel, but it just has some Star Wars energy. David Edelstein with Slate wrote, an ugly, bloated, repetitive movie that builds to a punchline that should have come an hour earlier.
Let's shift gears even more to The Matrix Revolutions.
Oh,
okay.
Be nice. Or gonna be nice.
Joel Siegel of Good Morning America. There's great storytelling, some of Hollywood's best ever. The story takes jaw-dropping turns. Joel Siegel, what the fuck are you talking about? The Hollywood's best ever?
What?
No.
What?
No. You know there was this is the third one in the series, right?
Did you see the first 2? Yeah, the first one is great.
In storytelling, there's so many other things. So many other better stories out there.
There's a lot of carbon copy of storytelling in the third for me. David M. Kimmel from Worcester Telegram and Gazette wrote, this is, in effect, the second half of the film, and if Reloaded was mostly build-up, Revolutions is all payoff.
Disagree.
Yeah.
I don't see much. I didn't get paid off when I watched this. I do think Revolutions has like one good action sequence in it, but again, I would have matched that into the second one. I would have made one big movie and not 2 movies.
I think that it is accurate though, in that like yeah, 2 and 3 essentially go hand in hand. Like they can't be separated really, because they're really intertwined. And I would say 2 is the setup for 3, but there is no payoff.
Lori Hoffman of Atlantic City Weekly. The Matrix Revolutions has successfully dodged the bullet that The Matrix Reloaded aimed at the franchise.
Ooh. Ooh.
I don't care what she's talking about. I like that review.
Yeah, I like the review too. I don't think I agree with what she's saying, but I don't know. I don't know if I do or not.
Christopher Smith of Bangor Daily News. To enjoy The Matrix Revolutions, it's probably best to enter it with lowered expectations. How true. But that's with anything. I feel like lower expectations, everything, you can enjoy a hell of everything.
You know what? That is pretty true. If you just go in with lowered expectations, odds are you're going to be surprised, especially when it comes to movies. I mean, after watching 2 and 3, that's exactly how I'm going to go into 4. Like, little to no expectations. You know, I like Keanu, and Carrie-Anne Moss still looks like she's kicking ass. So, like, all right, that's it. That's all I'm expecting.
Michael W. Phillips Jr. of Goat Dogs Movies. God, that's a terrible name. Is this a good movie? Hell, I don't know. I don't think so. Although I liked it. What a great review. You didn't establish any opinion. I don't know. I saw it.
It'll do, I guess. What a mental
As a reviewer,
journey.
I can't tell you if it was good or not. I can only tell you if I liked it or not.
I liked it, but I don't think it's good.
I don't know what he's trying to say. All right. On that note, it's time for some bad reviews. Quaz, give me a bad review.
Let's get into it. All right. Victoria Alexander with Movie Reviews in Croatian wrote visually stunning, but a huge disappointment. The resolution sucked.
Oh man,
it's definitely not visually superior to the first 2. Definitely not the first one. And yeah, the resolution was just kind of like, oh, okay.
My one and only negative review that I'm going to read for this movie is from my girl, Nell Minow of Common Sense Media. Finale with some heavy violence, weaker script.
Manola Dargis from Los Angeles Times wrote, how did something that started out so cool get so dorky?
I don't know. That's a great question.
I got that question too, because I don't really understand what happened here. Shit.
All right, let's stop reading reviews and let's talk about it.
The second one,
the Freeway Chases is the biggest thing of that.
It's a long sequence with many different components to it that are really impressive to watch nowadays and are really like engaging and captivating.
Filmmaking wise, it's so impressive because they built like a stretch of freeway in the middle of the desert just to like film this like 20-minute sequence. It took them, I think, almost like an entire month to film this. Yeah.
I didn't know that they built their own freeway. That makes sense though, because there's just so much going on.
How would you film that? There's agents that are jumping off cars, and just seeing the physics of that look great. Like visually, 2 holds up over time. Could it be cleaner? Of course, because technology, but like it still looks so wild. Just so good.
Yeah, that sequence alone is really great, and I think saves the whole movie. Like, let's take that sequence out of the movie. It's not shit.
Yeah. Third movie, I feel like the only action sequence we really get is like the machines coming at them at the end.
Yeah.
And then Neo fighting with Agent Smith in the rain, which is
there's that, and then there's Neo fighting Smith in real life, which is I have questions.
Okay. Yeah,
I don't see. It's so bizarre because 2 ends with I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna even rewind a little bit more.
We might have to talk it out because like it's so confusing.
So confusing.
Okay, blanket this as an adult after seeing them all. I had a hard time digesting all the information that they're giving us. Watching both of them back to back. What is
especially two, because two like starts off taking us like on this place where we're like, okay, remember the first one? All right, we're gonna go here, and it's like, wait, what? So like the whole plot of two is so confusing. Like I don't know, you like typically I don't know what our characters are doing in the place they're at and like what that means for the whole plot. Like just throughout the whole movie, essentially.
End of one, Neo kills Agent Smith, and then he's definitely known as the one because he's the first one that's defeated an agent. So we know he's the one. Yay, great. In the second one, Agent Smith comes back as like an alternate program. Again, this is where it gets really convoluted because I don't understand where the Matrix, like where it's like hard drive is, where everything is made, the architect, where is all these things. Smith comes back and he's figured out a way to like implant himself and be essentially become a virus, spread himself to others, multiplying because his main goal is to kill Neo, kill the Matrix, wipe out everything, because fuck everything. Which is metal as hell. Neo's goal is not like to defeat Smith. It's like, prevent the robots from destroying all real humans. There's a lot of things. In some point in the movie, before getting phone called out of his ass out and back into the real world, Agent Smith intercepts and like viruses himself into somebody who's phoning out. And so when that guy phones out, it's actually Smith that is in the. And so when that happens, his ship gets destroyed. He's on a ship that gets destroyed because it's Smith that probably destroyed it off camera. At the end, they reveal like we found a ship, and this is the only survivor. And it's revealed it's the guy that Smith went into. And I think that's such a fucking good cliffhanger ending. It's good. It's really thought out. That's why I like it as a cliffhanger ending, knowing, in 6 months we're getting the other movie. I can wait. That's great. I'm pumped for the next one.
Okay. See, I was so confused about who that guy was.
Yeah,
because they it's like all off camera kind of that like this ship got destroyed and one survivor. And so the movie literally ends with Morpheus being like, there was one survivor, and we like pan across this guy, and then
nobody knows it's Smith. And then at the beginning of the third one, he does weird goofy shit like he's got a knife and he's like tiptoeing like, I'm gonna go stab Neo, and someone's like, hey guy, what I'm just checking out this thing, my bad.
So I did not realize that Smith just inhabits that person's body. I thought that was Smith as a human, and then he became this thing within the Matrix when he plugged his mind in. Now that makes more sense.
Able to escape for a little bit. Could be wrong, but shout out to Hugo Weaving for Smith is great. He kills it as Smith.
2 actually lacks a lot of Agent Smith because there's a good gap in the movie where he's not around. I like him a lot as our villain. I sort of wish we had more of him. Also in 2, we're introduced to this like new villain that is a villain for like a minute, and then a minute in the beginning of 3. And I don't understand what his deal is, like one bit. They just call him the French man.
I don't understand it.
Who are you?
He's another program. Again, he's not a real person.
Yeah.
He's a program.
Sure. Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
I don't understand what again, I've watched this movie a couple of times. I can't really explain. Is a program they got to get past, and they need the help of the keymaster, and to get that help, they turn to the Frenchman's wife.
That leads me to something that always has sort of, I don't want to say confuses me, but like makes me question things, which is, okay, so I could be wrong, but my interpretation of at least the first one is kind of more cut and dry, which is you're either human or you're machine. And if you're a human, then you're a human and you're decent and you have a soul and you're a human and you're good, kind of, except for like the one guy. But for the most part, our humans are good and our machines are bad. And then in the second one, we sort of break those world building rules that we've created, in which, okay, you don't have to be a human, you could be a program, which would fall under the umbrella of the machine, and you can be good or bad, which is like, how though? How, like,
How do the programs have a life of their own?
how do the programs have a soul? Like, we're in fucking Westworld now, and they have conscious. Like,
yeah, it gets
what?
the water gets really muddy, and I don't know what to make of it.
I would agree. I don't know what in certain instances, like what the messaging here is and what you're trying to tell me. And I think too, that's one thing that really makes me detached from 2 and 3 is that I can't tell if I don't get it because I'm not getting it, or if the filmmakers are trying so hard to be highbrow and high concept that they have lost the plot entirely. Can I not understand your high concept, or can you not understand your high concept? Like,
I don't understand the high concept.
I don't understand the high concepts either. The first one is a high concept. Like, that's a high concept to wrap your mind around, but it's written and given to us in a way that's very understandable. So you can understand like the messaging and like what they're trying to say with this. Whereas the second, it's like, okay, so are we not really having like a messaging here? We just like robots, programs, machines, fight. For me, there's no streamlining of the same messaging, of the same feeling and vibe through the second and third, because in the second and third, we start introducing like, you know what, like programs are like good people also, but they're not people, but they care about us and we care about them, and they're kind of humans because they care about each other. What the fuck?
After watching the sequels, the first one seems really simple. Just like,
yes,
hey, we need to dial into the Matrix, bloop, and then they conk out, and they come back in, and they can go in and out.
The first one is more understandable in that like Neo's abilities, like his ability to learn kung fu, is because, oh, this is downloaded to your brain, like, oh, in this world it's all computerized, it makes sense. And then we start to have like these weird Neo abilities, like him fucking flying. Like, did he download that? Did he get the coding to fucking the upgrade to fly?
It's because he's the one. I already know the answer to that. It's because he's the one, and when you are the one, which he doesn't believe, he just, Morpheus tells me I'm the one. And Naomi's like, I don't believe he's the one, but if Morpheus believes, then
no one believes he's the one except Morpheus.
The Oracle established that in the first one that Trinity would fall in love with the one, and then Morpheus, what did she say to him? Like he'd give his life for the one, or I don't remember what Morpheus knows like Neo's the one based off of her oracling. Like, just rip that bandit off. He's the one.
Sure.
I like that Naomi is like, the Oracle had told Jada Pinkett, like, hey, like, there's gonna come a time when you do what he says, and like you can either choose to help him or not, but like you should. Like, like, fuck yeah. I don't think he is, but Morpheus does. So like, you know what? Fuck it, let's do it.
So that leads me to something too that I was thinking a lot throughout these two movies. I really like Jada Pinkett in these movies. Like, I really do like her. However, and this is no fault of her, I think she's doing the best possible thing she can do. I wish her character was more fleshed out and like I really understood what her deal was, because I don't really understand what her deal is, except for the fact that she like used to hook up with Morpheus and now she hooks up with the other guy.
She's really sidelined in number 2, but gets a lot of screen time for 3. Yeah, and I like that she's like, "Fuck you! Let me pilot this ship." She has a lot of like commanding badass moves. So, that I feel like when it's just simple, grounded stuff, that movie excels with her.
I realize there's something that I need to say, which is Morpheus. Morpheus is a really cool character in 1. And then by the end in 3, he's just a co-pilot in a spaceship.
Yeah.
What the fuck did you do to Morpheus?
like the de facto leader of the
Yeah.
Nebuchadnezzar in one. Then when we realize they're just a little part of the big world.
But in 3, he's literally just like helping Jada fucking
Oh, yeah,
pilot. Like that's it. And that's all
I'm
he
the
does.
ex-boyfriend that's gonna help pilot this ship.
One thing
I-
too is we, like you said, we just have so many new characters that come in and out, and not just in and out of the movie, like in and out within 5 minutes. We'll have someone that's like, hey, I'm here. All right, bye.
But I like establishing new characters like this in a sequel.
Sure, yeah.
To like, I have more humans to root for that I'm like, yeah, I want them to make it out and not die. Especially when you have like Link, who has like a loved one who we all get like what love and like feelings for one another. So
his
like
wife and kids,
having him like, hey, we're gonna make it, we're gonna see each other again. You rooting for them, but they do not get enough screen time to flush either one of them out, which is irritating because I feel like we could have done some better stuff with him. I would cut out train bullshit. I would cut out all the Frenchman bullshit, or at least first film. Fine, we don't need to go back to the Frenchman ever again.
No, but we do.
Third one should have just been like play with the characters that we established.
Yeah. But we introduced new ones in the third movie. And I think the issue too with introducing these new characters in 2 and 3 is that there is not, in my opinion, a tier of who we should be caring about. So like you said, like Link and his family are not at the top. And then Frenchman is number 4. It's like all of them are at the same level, and they're introduced and talked about in a way that we need to care about all of these people. And it's like, but the people that are coming and going should be at the bottom, and the people that are going to stay with us should be at the top. Like there's no like differentiation, I feel like, between like supporting and like supporting. So it's like, who the fuck are all of you? I just know my top 3 and Jada's around. Like what?
There's a big chunk of the movie where Neo just like kind of disappears. And I'm like, wasn't this movie about him? Like,
but for both movies, like there's a chunk where he's just not around for both movies. But like especially 3.
The whole first one, The Matrix is about his journey. So I feel like the sequel should also be about his journey doing something. We just have all these supporting characters to help him out.
Those supporting characters become the main focal points. And Neo, it's like, oh, we'll check back on him in a minute. But like in the meanwhile, like let's see what this person's doing you just met 10 minutes ago and try to care. And I think this trilogy could have been a lot better if we trimmed most of these weird like Matrix and Programs characters like that we have no attachment to. Just cut them out. And then I like the Keymaster. There's a few I like, but there's a lot we could just get rid of that literally add nothing to the plot in the end. So like there's just so many of them.
So at the end of the second one, Neo runs into the architect who like explains that like this has happened before and it's going to keep happening, and Neo is always going to be doing like it always resets itself. And when I heard that, I was like, what? There has been so many other versions of this story that's happened.
That opens up way more questions than answers that I don't get answered in 3. So like, because in the first one, we're made to believe that all like human bodies are like these like fucking fetuses that are harvested for energy. Essentially, we're in these pods and we're harvested for energy. And then while I don't think it's explicitly stated, I was just in the understanding of like once they've used this for our energy, like a new battery, they just toss us and get a new one.
I don't know if they ever toss us. I think they just keep using.
They just keep using us.
I know. I didn't write it.
I don't know.
Just throw me in the dumpster.
Just toss them out. Let's get a fresh fetus in there. Like I don't know. I just have a lot of questions now that we find out there's like this just keeps happening and resetting. It's like, so then what about Neo's like physical body? Does he just stay where he's at? But then how are you going to what?
It just resets again, and then Morpheus number 6134 now has to find Neo all over again. This Neo is the one that made the choice to save his friends and still was able to like defeat everyone. He is the one because he is the one that can make the choice. All the others have failed before him. End up saving Trinity, but then in 3, she ends up dying anyway, which fucking sucks. Yeah, especially if he's like, she's gonna die. You can't kill her in the third one after giving her a fake out death.
Okay, so speaking of Trinity's fake out death in 2,
Yeah.
this was something I did remember from the first time watching it. Didn't make a lot of sense to me then, still doesn't make a lot of sense to me now. So Trinity at the end of 2 is like dying, I guess. And her within the Matrix, she's not doing too well. And that has an effect on her body that's brain-wise plugged into the Matrix. Okay. And then Neo in the Matrix puts his hand in a cut she has on her torso, just swoops his hand into through her, grabs her heart and just starts like giving a little pump, and that keeps her alive in real life.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's it. He's just powerful.
If you die in the Matrix, you die in real life.
Totally. So then if you're brought back to life in the Matrix, you're brought back to life in real life.
It would help reestablish your health. Yeah.
That's so dumb. I'm sorry. That's so dumb. And then the whole being like, oh, well, he's the one, so he can do it. That's dumb. That is dumb.
Well, yeah, as the one, he's able to defeat Agent Smith in the third one. He makes a bet with, I think, the Matrix itself. I still can't figure out what that thing is. It's like a giant like circle that's just, it has like a face that comes up like blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna make a bet with you, like, and he's like, I'm gonna kill Agent Smith. Well, if you die, then I'm unplugging you and you die in real life. Okay, sure. But if I win, cool, bye. Like, and then I don't even remember what it was.
If he wins, they get to free all the humans off screen.
Okay.
Off screen.
After fighting Smith, he realizes Smith like fires his Neo's ass, and then because of that, Neo dies and gets unplugged. And because that Agent Smith that's in him is now Neo, it's now unplugged, and then it kills the virus. So it's like a catch-22, and then Neo wins the bet with the Matrix, which is, it's a big mess. I am so confused by the end.
So confused by the end. And then the end is kind of is like, Neo did a thing and we're all good.
And
like,
then
that's
it's just the architect and then the Oracle hanging out like,
with the kid with what's her face? Sudi, that Priyanka Chopra is playing in 4. That's who she is. The little girl, Priyanka Chopra is that. The train
girl. Okay.
Is the hanging out with the Oracle at the end. That's who Priyanka Chopra is going to play in 4.
Well, makes the 4 more interesting.
I guess. Does it?
It makes it slightly more interesting.
How? Because the kid is older now? What the fuck does that make? How? She's a program. How did she age?
Dude, there's so many Matrix questions that I'm the wrong person to ask. Jessica, what do you think? Does this deserve a second chance?
Absolutely not. 2 and 3 are awful. 2 and 3 are trash. I fucking hate them so much. I hate them so much.
So I don't agree with the hating them part, but like
I hate them.
It's a struggle to rewatch 3. 2 is visually, it's still fun. I'll rewatch 2 again. I'll probably never rewatch 3. They made me actually I'm less interested in watching the 4th one after rewatching these 2, but I'm still gonna watch it because I'm a sucker for movies. I'll watch anything. If you have not seen any Matrix movie, please watch the first one. Do you need to watch the second or third one? Not unless you really want to. Second one is fun to rewatch. That third one was there's so much information. It was like studying for a test that I didn't need to take.
Yes, that's what it felt like. And that right now I feel like I'm giving a book report on something that I didn't read. Like I didn't read it.
And I didn't understand it.
But I watched this movie.
Oh, I read it. I just don't
get it. There are parts of 2 and 3 where they were attempting to expand upon the universe they created, but majority of the movie, it is things that create more loose ends and more questions than I'm given answers to. And to me, that's an issue. But I hope 4 is entertaining.
Let's hope so.
We'll see. I like Keanu a whole lot.
We all do. He's great. He's Duke
great.
Kaboom.
So
And Point Break. He's Point Break.
He's Point Break, John Wick. I don't know if we would have John Wick if not for him in Matrix, you know?
Probably. I mean, we would have John Wick. We just wouldn't have Keanu as John Wick. Maybe.
I'm sorry if this whole episode was very disjointed, but so is Matrix 2 and 3. So we tried our best here with this. All right. Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Second Chance Movies. As always, you can find us on YouTube for a visual episode and your audio episode on wherever you listen to podcasts. In the show notes, you can find our Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, social medias, whatever links you need to follow us. Please follow us. Let's be friends. Let's chat. Let's talk about movies. Can you answer all these Matrix questions we have? Please? I don't get it. A big thank you, as always, to Beaty McBeatface for making our dope theme song. We love it so much. It's so fun. And yeah, if you've been listening to us and if you've enjoyed this, please give us a like, give us a share if you think your friends would like it. Subscribe, hit all those buttons, please. It really helps.
Beep, boop, beep.
We'll be back with another Second Chance movie.
It is inevitable.
Second chance.